Okay, so it's live, so we're getting ready to start this class. Like I said, you guys had landing zone class night, so I thought it'd be a good time to talk about just air medical, some different things about air medical. Patients that maybe should go on a helicopter versus patients that maybe you guys should take by ground. Let me get my little PowerPoint that I've built really fast today. So when to use air medical? Rob's done a dirty guy to air medical. It's really just that. Yes, I did. And please understand, some of this is opinion, but most of it's an opinion from working in both ground and air. Some of my opinions have changed. Being on the ground, air evac obviously will come take any and every patient, so this isn't really an opinion that they have. But I am of the opinion that just because somebody has air evac insurance doesn't mean that they need to go. I'd rather that helicopter be available. If my family member got in a car crash and really needs air medical. So understand that. A lot of it's my opinion. And a lot of it's just kind of tailored to us out here in Western Oklahoma. You see all kinds of studies on whether air medical is appropriate, safe, can we do without it. I think it's a great advantage out here. And using it, we give the patient the best chance of survival. So, advantage of air medical, in some cases, a higher level of care, not all cases. Understand that whenever you have a paramedic on an ambulance, you do have the highest level of care in the field. Just because an RN jumps out of the helicopter doesn't mean they have a higher level of care. It's still a paramedic's game out here, okay? Just like it's the nurse's game once we step into the ER. So understand that. If you have a paramedic on your truck, or sometimes two paramedics, they really don't have a higher level of care than you. Now, they do have the advantage over us. They have a driver. Sometimes we don't. So they have two skilled individuals on that aircraft because they are skilled to be flying. So sometimes maybe they're more comfortable with that patient than our paramedics are. But sometimes once you start getting experience, then you got a little more comfortable, you start working more, right? And so that kind of changes, and you should be able to handle most of the patients they are able to. So another advantage is help to achieve the Oklahoma Trauma System's goal of right patient, right place, right time. If you guys, we did the trauma triage video in here. Do you guys remember that? It was really kind of their whole goal or focus was getting the right patient to the right place at the right time. Kind of avoiding these level 4 hospitals when you have a level 1 trauma. There's nothing they could do for them. They'll CT him, they'll look and they'll say, yep, they need a surgeon, and they'll send them to the city. So keep that in mind. And then another big advantage is speed. This is probably the single largest advantage that air medical has. When I'm talking about air medical out here, I'm primarily talking about the helicopter, but understand that you guys can use the fixed wing. You're starting to look at a toss-up whenever you're in this area, whether you're going to beat that aircraft to the city if you need to, or where that aircraft's going to beat you. Whenever they start telling you to burn flat, just tell them to take it yourself. I've done that, and that was a big time suck. It's bad when the patient's family beats you and they're waiting for that patient at the hospital. Yeah, exactly. Nothing against the fixed wing, nothing against burns flat, but our goal is to get some of these patients to surgery as fast as we can.
Is that where the fixed wing comes from, the burns flat?
No, it doesn't come from burns flat. They've moved the one out of Oklahoma City, so we don't even have one in Oklahoma City anymore. But they come, there's one in Liberal. I don't remember where they're all at in Kansas. They used to be like, okay, they moved it. They have a fixed wing, Wichita Falls. There's one, I think, in southeastern Oklahoma, too. I think that may be where they moved it. They kind of removed a lot of the aircraft. I think pretty soon you're going to see most of the Eagle Med fixed wings. I'm going to imagine you're going to see them go into air evac ownership or another company. I think they're trying to shut Eagle Med down, man. Too many crashes. Now, don't quote me on that. I think that's just kind of the rumors I've heard. So, But speed is their single biggest asset. Remember that.
So it almost would benefit us to call for a fixed wing. I mean, you're really gonna have to call.
If you, okay,
Back and
yeah, no. If
really
let's say that you get a wreck and it's out north of Leeds. You call up for a helicopter. They say we can't fly because of the weather. You have a level 1 trauma patient that needs a surgery. You know, they meet that
like body part.
yeah. One of them off the top of my head is just multiple long bone fractures from the incident. So that patient doesn't really need to stop at Elk City. There is a chance that if you stop at Elk City, they're going to take time to X-ray that patient, and then they're going to send that patient. Do the transfer. That is time away from that patient, and we're not meeting that goal: right patient, right place, right time. There is a chance that whenever you check for that, you could tell them check for the fixed wing. There is a chance that as you're pulling into Leedey, that fixed wing's landing in when you're pulling into Elk City, that fixed wing's landing in Elk City. If that scenario works out, and you're able to load that patient onto that fixed wing right when you get to Elk City, it will beat you to Oklahoma City. And you got to think of the fact that it does have a nurse and paramedic on it. So I'll kind of get into how you could make.
Does that have blood?
I know that helicopters are transporting blood now. That's kind of a really. I can't believe we haven't done it sooner. O&A blood.
They still have to get from Elk City, and they got the land, and then they have to get them and take them all the way across town.
No, it's not always all the way across town. Sometimes they can land either at Will Rogers or Wiley Post. And it still is a transport. You're correct. But you have a basic with that patient. Are you going to drive them all the way to Oklahoma City?
No, I'm definitely finding something, but you can get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think about your resources at that point in time. What does that do to your entire area? You just opened up a big old hole for a patient that really we could have met that fixed wing at the airport. You have a nurse and paramedic that are able to take care of that patient. There is a good chance they're going to beat you because that airplane flies about 240 miles an hour. It will eat up that time really fast once it gets in the air. Now, if you're going to wait on it there, you're probably better off just transporting it. So you have to play that game and keep those times in the back of your head as you're doing it.
For me, like if I had a true MI, I would endeavor my turn flying because Elk City isn't going to do anything.
No, they won't do interventional casts. MI is kind of a tricky thing. You need to kind of have an idea of what that facility is, and you may call and talk to the physician. Hey, we have a STEMI. I have elevation this lead, this lead, this lead. You want us to bring him in? Because I know that Roger Mills has thrombolytics. So they could go ahead and administer the thrombolytics. And Roger Mills, believe it or not, is really, really good about stabilizing them, doing what the receiving does, and getting them on down the road. So,
well, even in that situation, if you just got the fixed wing already in Elk City, if Air can't fly, that's the fastest way from them from Elk City to the city. Even if you have to take them to the hospital and get thrombolytics, you're going to take them to that fixed wing, and you just have to talk to the physician and be like, hey, we know it's an MI. Can we bring them there and get the treatment? Those are all right if we already have a fixed wing because Air can't fly.
Yeah, Air back. The helicopter can't fly. But yeah, or you could. One thing that helps with everything is communication. Calling and talking to people, letting them know what you have, and that'll help out a lot. Now, if you roll into his ER and say, "Oh, by the way, I have a fixed wing out at the airport for you," you might not like that all that much. So communication's key in that. Some disadvantages, things to consider of air medical. It's a tight space in the aircraft. It's even a tight space in the king air. We have a lot more room whenever we're in the fixed wing, but it's still pretty tight. And then I got to worry about turbulence and all that. And weight restrictions. Obviously, if the patient's too big, they can't fly. Inexperience around the aircraft can be fatal. Experience around the aircraft can be fatal. There's story after story of a nurse dropping paperwork and running to chase it and running right into the tail rotor. You have that element of danger to it. It's noise. It is very noisy. They'll have a hard time listening to lung sounds or breath sounds and all that once they get into the air. Not that should really inhibit, it's just something that change your mind on whether you want to fly them or not, but it's just something to be aware of. And then restricted by weather where you are and the patient destination. Remember that. I've heard lots of firemen and people get really angry with air evac because they'll turn a flight. Well, they turn a flight because they can't get out of this area. You have storms rolling into Amarillo, you have storms rolling into Oklahoma City, and they can't go to either place, so they can't really accept it because all they're going to do is pick up a patient and then they just go land at their airport. So understand that they're not just restricted by the weather that you have, but the weather from point A to point B will affect their decision on taking that or their ability to take that. Hazardous conditions while the aircraft is landing and lifting, and a big one is power lines and things like that. Fire departments are awesome about helping out. This isn't something that you should make a decision not to use the aircraft. It's just something to think about and keep in the back of your mind whenever you are using an aircraft. So those are just some disadvantages. So here's some patients that benefit from air medical. Since speed is the biggest advantage to air medical, the patients that benefit the greatest are the patients with the time-sensitive injuries or illness. And that statement isn't true for paramedics, and it's about 30 to 50% true for basics. The reason is because as a paramedic, if it's not a time-sensitive injury, and I'm confident and comfortable in my skill level, I should be able to handle that patient, maybe even a little better in the back of my ambulance than they can in the air. One, I have more room to work around that patient, and I'm able to get up, walk around. Two, I could get a firefighter driver, and I'll have two people just like they do. So, some examples are trauma patients that meet priority 1 or the code red, or most priority 2 code yellow patients. And that, if you guys want to know where to find that, that's in this right here. It's in the trauma transport triage guidelines. It's located on the Oklahoma State Department of Health's website. No, this is protocol, sorry. There's a list of guidelines. I would say that you should trust your gut as well. If you are with a patient and they don't exactly meet like a code red patient or a level 1 patient, but you're like, this guy just really, something's off with him, something doesn't look good, and you feel like he probably needs to fly, go ahead and fly him. So patients with decreased or absent circulation below a fracture or dislocation. It's important that these patients get to a place to get surgery or get that dislocation reduced to restore circulation to it. If we spend a lot of time on the ground getting them to the city or take them to a local, and the local then spends time looking at them and says, oh, geez, they need surgery, and then send them off, there's a chance they lose a limb. I have an example of that. I went and picked up a lady who she dislocated her knee. She fell down in the flower garden. We take her into Roger Mills. They reduce it, and everything is good. I don't remember if she left and came back, but anyway, she's having a lot of pain, decreased circulation, and so they sent her to the city. She ended up losing her leg. And whenever she did that, whenever she dislocated it, she severed that artery behind her knee, and so she ended up losing her leg. Could that scenario played out differently? I don't think so, because everything that should have been done was done. They reduced it. She had good mobility in it. I'm not exactly sure when the artery is severed, but it is something to think about, that if we don't recognize that this is going on, they can lose that limb. So it is important that if you have it out here, you have a fracture, bad break, you check for pulses are absent, flying. I wouldn't even hesitate. This number 3 is obvious, so STEMI, ST elevation myocardial infarction. Every single person in here could hook up your 12 EKG, your guys' interprets, right? At the end of it, if it says acute MI suspected, please put that patient on an aircraft, okay? In the meantime, do what you gotta do, get them stable. If you can, aspirin, nitro, IV, then you go through morphine, which kind of the new cool drug to use is fentanyl for that. Or another one is ACS or strong suspicion of chest pain and cardiac origin. The ones I hesitate to fly are the ones that just have angina or angina, however you want to say it. They're prescribed nitro for it. They do have a history of angina, unstable angina. I do a 12 lead. I don't see anything on that 12 lead. I'm really kind of hesitant to fly that patient because there is a chance that we could just go ahead and get him to the ER. They can get it checked out. If they can't get it under control, they're going to send them to the Oklahoma City and see their cardiologist. But anyway, if ACS, you guys know acute coronary syndrome consists of. It's all the other things that surround your chest pain calls that lead you to believe that this could be a cardiac call. Your nausea, vomiting, diaphoresis for no reason, shortness of breath for really no reason, weakness of unknown etiology, things like that just don't really feel right will fit into your ACS algorithm. So, and then the last one is stroke and CVA, and you guys all know that with the strokes, obviously, if you go and they say, well, he's had left side of weakness for 2 weeks now, we're way outside that window. He really doesn't need to fly. It is important that if you're going to fly a stroke, it's like the last time normal. So if the last time normal was whenever they went to bed the night before, that is what time you document it. I'm not saying if it's kind of one of those borderline ones, you don't go ahead and fly them. We've flown them that we know are 6 or 7 hours out. Let somebody that makes a lot more money than us make a decision on what they're going to do when they get there. Just send that last time normal information with them. So those are just some examples. I would say that any patient, also any patient that you don't feel like, or you feel like needs to be in the city to be properly treated, you feel like it's borderline time sensitive, I would go ahead and fly. Let me see here.
I had one the other day, and I did not. We went to the house, like it was uncontrolled vomiting. I'm talking like retching. Then we try to stand him up, like he physically cannot use his legs. Like there's no standing up, like collapsing. So we pretty much drag him down the hall and put him on the cot because the house was so cluttered, there was no other option. And his head, he said it felt like his head was about to explode, and he could not stop throwing up. Like there was nothing that I did for him, and he had a double A.
Yeah. So key word there is he feels like his head's gonna explode.
Well, he had been exposed to anhydrous that day, so I thought that he was having some kind of whatever reaction.
Yeah.
And Dr. Fitz told me that the number one thing is the uncontrolled vomiting and not being able to stand is the number one sign of a brain bleeding field. But I only got to a brain bleeding field when they're snoring respirations and stable vital signs, but they're just.
And you look at their pupils, and one's below and one's constricted.
See, now the two that I have, neither one have.
They didn't herniate yet. So,
yeah.
Lesson learned. One thing that always should key off is whenever they start using the term, and the vomiting, definitely. Whenever they use that term, my head's going to explode, or this is the worst headache of my life. We had one over by Cheyenne, same type deal. I don't think I'm gonna make it home. I'm so dizzy. I'm so weak. I'm throwing up all over the place. He gets down the road. This is the worst headache I've ever had in my life. He goes in the bathroom, collapses, and codes. And she calls the neighbor that's 10 miles away. He comes and says, we didn't call an ambulance. By that time, it was too late. His head was purple by the time we got there. But I don't think I'm going to run this one. So.
Well, and like that helped me for here because, like, if a farmer got into some anhydrous and told him that his head was going to explode, well, you just got into some anhydrous. Like, I would expect you not to feel great.
Yeah, great. Anhydrous is without water, and so if you're thinking that's like anhydrous exposure, look for them to be very parched, very dry.
He was, like, his mouth was like sticky.
Yeah, I mean,
He was-
I wonder what
He might
caused
have
it.
been having some reaction to that as well as
Could be.
something.
I mean, I wonder if the anhydrous didn't precipitate the aneurysm. You never know.
So anyway, so patients that should not be flown. This is really kind of a strong opinion thing of mine versus a basic fact. So flying patients that do not benefit from air medical ties up an aircraft that could be used on more appropriate patients. Some examples of patients that should not be flown are noted below. But I have AirVac insurance patients. There's really nothing wrong with them that you could tell, or maybe it's a minor break of of the arm or something like that, and they want to go buy AirVac. The best way to explain to them is if this is deemed to be not medically necessary by a doctor, you could, and use the word could because AirVac's awesome about working with people on this, you could be responsible for the bill. AirVac is really good about, and it probably has to do with how they market their thing. They're really good about if it's not medically necessary and they use it for a situation like that, they'll typically forgive that one time. Now the next time, I stubbed my toe, but I have AirVac insurance. You put them on there. They're like, we've talked about this, and they're not going to be as ready to forgive that expense. So I would really,
I'm not surprised.
I would really,
He probably just wants to go for the ride.
I'd really try to talk these patients out of using AirVac. If you can't find a reason they need to be on a helicopter, I would talk to them. Now Rodney's going to tell you, yeah, call us up. We'll fly them. It's a numbers game for them. They want the numbers. But it goes back to me, and I don't want there not to be an aircraft in my area because I just sent it. I just sent it for that guy. So
That's what I would tell him, it is not necessary for us to buy a highly needed resource for your broken arm.
Do you remember when they had that riot at the prison and they used up all the helicopters and that girl had that wreck at Cordell?
no, I didn't know about that.
Yes, there was a young girl, like 16
I
years old.
flew that day.
So I was actually at the hospital in Elk City doing clinicals with Sabrina, but Jonathan Aston was in Clinton, and there was a horrible wreck in Cordell,
Yeah.
and he needed a helicopter, and he couldn't get one. They wouldn't release one from there, and he ran code all the way from Cordell to the city, and I think she still lost her leg and had some other deficits.
Yeah, that's crazy because I think only maybe 3 patients were flown out. I flew one. I picked one up at Elk City. The guy that I don't know, the guy got his head smashed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they threw the
Talk
microwave
about the
over.
prison fight, yeah.
Well, see, when the prison fight happened, I was also friends with people at Signer, and there was this girl, she was 16, had a horrible wreck in Cordell, and her leg was almost cut off, and some other things. She might have died. That Jonathan had to run code from Cordell all the way to Oklahoma City with this girl because they wouldn't release a helicopter.
And helicopter because of all that crap going on over there, yep.
Patients that meet priority 3 or code green criteria in the T3 algorithm, I would not fly these patients. Okay, you get on scene. It's a minor accident. Maybe they have they're walking around. I wouldn't fly them. I mean, that's only option, right? Imminent delivery. AirVac will not fly patients that are having babies. Why? Well, they can't access the areas that need to be accessed to deliver it. One, now you have a newborn and a mother. They don't have a way to secure that baby in the aircraft, so they will not do deliveries. You may get a crew that'll take it for you. I'm not going to say that you won't get one. Patients in cardiac arrest. They will not fly your cardiac arrest patient. What they will do, and I did it when I was flying, is we'll land and we'll ride into the hospital with you and hang out. It's all good for us. We didn't really care. But just understand they're not going to fly this patient. So if you want this patient flown, you better get the first line cardiacs and get that pulse back and hope it stays until they get them loaded in the aircraft. I have done CPR in an aircraft, and we got the patient back, but it was a patient coded on that. So, patients that do not have time-sensitive illness or injury that can be managed appropriately, uh, uh, managed by managed appropriately by I messed that whole.
Appropriately managed by the.
Yeah, I messed up. Yeah,
Patients that do not have
yeah, had it
constant
proofread.
or injury
Easy.
that can be managed.
Don't worry about it.
Appropriately.
If you could appropriately manage this patient in your ambulance, and it's not a time-sensitive injury, you probably should go ahead and transport them. A good example of that be if you have a patient that has congestive heart failure, CHF, and you're having trouble with that. If you have a CPAP on your unit, which you guys should, I'm still trying. I'm still prodding Kim every time I talk to her. You can. What's that? I think your whole service is on board. I just, yeah, and I don't know why she's so against it. Because number one, it's the standard of care, and you're gonna.
It's a lot of hassle, really.
Yes, and there's a very easy solution. I'm not saying you need to spend $30,000 on an event and then train your EMTs and worry about that. There is a great oxygen-driven one, and actually, the one that we have will on a small tank will last 30 minutes at its high, and so a large tank you could go all the way from here to OC. The thing about it is, if they have CHF and you do CPAP, you could fix them and definitely save them by the time you get to Elk City. They even have CPAP now, like the ones we have, the FlowSafe CPAP 2, FlowSafe 2 CPAP. I could do an inline breathing treatment. So the patient that's having really a hard time breathing, shut down.
All of that together.
I could do a breathing treatment with CPAP. So it's great. So that's the type of patient that you don't really need to call air evac for. You can manage that patient if you have the right equipment in your ambulance. So just kind of think about that there are those patients that maybe they don't really need to go by air evac. Even though they're sick, very sick patients, they don't really need a helicopter. Remember, we're talking about the time-sensitive illnesses or injuries, the ones that are going to die if they don't get to a hospital, okay? Those are the ones that you need to fly. When in doubt, err in favor of the patient. And then little small things, fly them. Okay? Don't ever put yourself in a situation where you're going back and forth with it, and then you take them. You are going to then kick yourself in the butt. If that patient dies and doesn't make it, you're going to kick yourself in the butt every time you think of it. I should have flown. I should have flown. Even if they may not have made it anyway, even if the helicopter is sitting at their house and started having a problem, you will second guess yourself for a long time because you guys don't run enough calls to really get that feeling that, yeah, I can't really change anything anyway. And so you're going to second guess yourself for a long time, and you're going to be gun shy for everything. So when in doubt, err in favor of the patient. Fly them. So some things to consider. This is really for out here. You hear all these things how you should use air medical. And one thing that drives me insane is you need to be on scene to evaluate that patient before you get that aircraft in route. Out here, we're far enough away from these aircraft that we need that aircraft en route because by the time we get on scene, we don't want to wait now 20 minutes for it to get there. But if we get them headed our way and it takes us 10 minutes to get there, now they're only 5 or 10 minutes out. We get there and we need them. Boy, they're right there. Sometimes we don't even get anything done. That's fine. They actually like to use their skills. So they actually don't mind that. Opposed to now you're waiting 15, 20 minutes. So launch early. I'll use an example that I had. I had a rollover truck and patients ejected. So I immediately launched air evac. On the way there, I got a report that we had 4 patients out on the ground, 5 patients out on the ground. I launched. I said, "Get me as many. I want 5 helicopters." Well, we get you 3, or they fall back 3. Okay. I went 3 helicopters, and I went 2 fixed ones. Okay. Well, one of the guys dead, so we canceled. I think we canceled the fixed one. And so I had all them aircraft coming. Now, only one of them made it to the scene. 2 helicopters One helicopter went to Sayre, one helicopter went to Elk City, and then fixed wing landed in Elk City. It's out by Sweetwater. But it worked out very nice because the fixed wing is coming from Oklahoma City. By the time we got it packed up, put it on an ambulance, headed that way, it was landing. We put it right on. It took off. Next one comes in, the helicopter's landing. Put it on, and it took off. Only one of those aircraft made it to the scene. So 1022, or don't be scared to launch. And don't go, oh gosh, I don't want to launch them because I'm not sure. Launch them. If you get reports of a head-on collision out on one of these highways, launch them. You get a call of a rollover or anything that makes you think this could be a call that needed to fly, go ahead and launch it. You know what? You might end up having to get an aircraft out of, where's the next one? We always get them out of Wichita Falls or Lawton or Altus now. So you get it out of Altus now. So your aircraft may be coming from Altus. So it has a 35, 40-minute flight time you can get here. So launch them. And then the bottom, 1022, then if you don't need them. I made the mistake of forgetting and looked up on my head. And I'm like, oh, hey, 1022 aircraft. So just try to remember the 1022 if you don't need them. I promise you, you'll find out tonight from them, they do not mind if you call them, they're on the way, and you 1022. Whenever I was flying, I love that because I didn't have to do paperwork. I can go out and fly in a helicopter now. I don't have to do paperwork. I just get to look around. I don't have to worry about the patient. That's my favorite part of this job. So I like flying, and patient care, I've done it here and there, and the flying was the cool thing about it. So. That's just some things to think about with air medical. You guys are going to get kind of a full landing zone class tonight. So I wanted to give you guys some other things to think about. They really won't talk much about. They may have it, I don't know. And just give you some things to think about. One of the biggest things I could stress to you guys is don't be scared to launch more than one aircraft. Okay, if you get a call of a head-on collision, how many patients do you know you have?
Well, you know you have two.
Two,
Oh,
yeah.
I had to think, that's the next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have at least
Yeah, but they said, yeah.
you have at least two because you had two drivers in a head-on collision, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and at least launch two. You're going to get reports as you go. Your fire guys are going to show up on scene, and you guys know this. Anybody that's working out in rural EMS long enough knows that you can do a pretty good gauge of how your scene is by the voice. How their voice comes across on the radio. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Or, oh, okay, well, we'll make sure, but I don't think we're going to need aircraft in this one. So, head-on collision, you have two patients. Don't be scared to ask for two helicopters, okay? Maybe you get a report that now you have 3 critical patients. Don't be scared to ask for it. You may not get it, and now you got to triage and see which ones get the aircraft, but there is a chance that they'll send them to you, okay? So, don't be hesitant to ask for it. Any questions? Any comments? You guys disagree with me?
Well, no, so we actually have a.
I mean, that's our protocol at Altus. Like, if there's a wreck out in the county, the area back is called immediately.
Yeah.
Whether it's like somebody ran into a stop sign.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, no matter what the call is, if it's outside city limits, like we call for help.
Yeah. I agree with early launch.
I usually launch them in my house, if you want me to be honest.
No, you know what? You're basically you launching from your.
I usually launch them in my house, to be honest.
No, you know what? You're basically you launching from your.
I don't know how to worry about that.
Did we not get it?
Until we got far and let me do it. The one guy that already has it. Yeah. And that one, I just left there. I was the first one there and I had
Air medical. Patients that maybe should go on a helicopter maybe you guys should take like right now. Let me get my power that I still real fast today. Oh man. So when you use air medical, Rob's done 30 guy care. Right.
It's really just that.
Well, I presented it, but I didn't screen share it. So the video is of me.
Ah, well, that's what you wanted anyway.
Uh, no, what I wanted was my thing. I guess I'll just share the PowerPoint presentation with everybody. Share it with you guys, and then also share that PowerPoint presentation. Just have people that want credit watch it and get back with me.
Okay.
Just sign the.
Now, where were you gonna tell me that I needed to go to find that other one?
What?
The other.
You could, if you could go to YouTube, to my YouTube channel.
Oh.
What I'll do here, I'll just share this one with you, and you should be able to just pull all the other ones up.
Do we need to watch the Pine Box Boys?
Did I share that? That's what I watched.
Oh, no, this was so
Yeah, I like that song.
I don't know. I think.
They actually like to use their skills, so they actually don't mind that. You know,
You can hear the baby.
okay, so it's live, so we're going to start this class.
Have you seen Rachel's baby pictures so cute?
Trying to other.
Maybe the bottom, like her nose and her cheeks is like Rachel, but I don't know.
I'm gonna send you. Oh, you already went to my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and email this out. You guys got about 10 minutes before the landing zone class, so if you guys need to do a bathroom break or something.
We're going up there, right?
Yeah. Where's the new pad at?
Behind the grocery store. Yeah, it's like literally at the grocery store.
We know where the fire station is.
No.
You know the billboard sign right up here?
Okay.
The billboard is one block behind it. Right
Okay.
behind it, yeah.
But the town's so large, you go around the block once.
I know.
Don't blink.
It literally is straight down the street.
So the email you sent out on the upcoming classes, are those the dates?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put them on Wednesdays because that's the only day you could do it, right?
Well, now that it's becoming summer, you can't take. Now that it's becoming summer, there's different things on the
I'm just telling you, I think your own things, it'll be all right.
Well, you're here.
Well, we have Awana right after school till 5:30. And this summer, I have the Amazing Grace from the first at 6 till 8:30 every night.
I'm not thinking.
You do know that they didn't say that you had to go to church on Wednesday. It's Sabbath. It's Sunday.
I know, my kids like the Amazing Grace, so I would.
Only work from home.
I'll only miss 1 week.
I'm not even an EC guy. I don't even do the EC thing.
You have them on Thursday.
And I'm a driver.
I do have one Thursday.
Oh, well, it's.
No,
Oh, wait.
no. It doesn't have to, the Thursday and the day don't have. Okay.
What's going on with that? Because it's on the calendar. That's
Yeah.
you know what? I think
like, what?
somebody's settings are messed up. I think my calendar settings are right. I think it's your settings.
No, it's mine said, it says Thursday, June
same as the one
It's
in
the 27th.
Yeah, you need to change your time zone on your Google
The
Calendar.
rest of them are all right. The rest of them are all right. It's just that one is
So I need to go to my
The
calendar.
rest of them.
I'll go look at them and see if I can fix them. See what it is. I don't know. That's weird. So what works better,
I don't care, just.
Wednesdays or
As long as I know what it
Thursday?
is, I'll
I'm
get
just
it around.
like,
Go one month at a time.
I don't want to do it because it was like, gosh, I wanted to schedule it.
I like it that way because I can go and
Yeah.
I am not, but on this day I am.
Does Wednesdays work for you? Yeah.
I mean, that's what's gonna happen to me because I have logins on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And so Amazing Race on Wednesdays, so it's not like it's really.
So we have training
It
tonight.
sounds to
and then
me
we have
like
training
maybe you
scheduled
need to
the
give up
18th.
Amazing Grace.
There's one,
May 18th. Yes. And then.
You don't get bonus points to go to Amazing Grace. There's not a bonus point system.
Yeah, I could call one of my You already know.
Where is it at?
It's a long street.
Where at though?
Like we go all over town, like there's
Uh,
a first leg and a second leg and a third leg every Wednesday.
what do you do? Run a race?
In the summer.
Okay, so you start out at church and you get clues and you gotta go to the first
Ah,
leg.
okay, that's fun.
And there's a chaperone, like there's like a leg chaperone. So like you're gonna have to go here and you're gonna have to complete this task. And then we have roadblocks. Like if you don't read the whole instructions, like last year, like you were just gonna go to the park and do the Chinese fire drill and do the merry-go-round like 30 times and sing the song and run around the slide 15 times. And then it said at the bottom, it said, if you're continuing to read, ignore all this and go to the full part. So some of them, like all of us drivers knew, and like my team actually read the whole instructions, but there was kids down at the park like doing all this ridiculous stuff, and like we were still going on because
I was thinking we were something.
oh no, they think it is so much fun. So there's leg chaperones, and then you go to the next leg and the next leg, and then we end at the final, and then we have a rug and all things. And
A rug.
you know, like at the Amazing Race, and they jump on the rug at the end. Like,
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was slang for something.
Oh no, and then they feed
I
us
don't know Christian slang.
They feed us there, and like the house, like the final chaperone, like has a meal for everybody, and then somebody goes to the bush and
Well, we're down here, I'm gonna drive us there.
Yes, please do. I'm gonna send this out. Okay, so hey, wait, I gotta put.
anyways, so
That's what that is.
and it's really fun, and you can bring your kids and come do it one day.
Bring my kids to Leedey, no.
Because they would love it, and they're just going to go back and train it.
My God, I live in Oak City. Yeah.
The W town of Oak City.
Yeah.
Your dad says he's not very far away. I don't know how very far away he is.
Okay,
I
I
got
got
it.
it right now.
Yeah.
But then our doors are closed. Did the last secure thing didn't that change us all to the same thing?
Oh man, I forgot to bring what's her names.
Yeah, it should. Didn't it? Oh, look.
She probably just hasn't.
I just didn't remember.
She probably not.
We can have that. I just forgot. I need to walk. I haven't got to walk today.
Are you coming up there, or what are you doing here?
I'm them. They find up there.
Yeah, I'll come up there. I'm gonna send this email out though for you guys. Yes, I will.